Hi, everybody. Welcome to Cardozo Law School and the Office of Career Services. My name is Carrie Bertolette-Grand. I'm the Dean of the Office of Career Services and joined by my colleague, Perry Birnbach. And we have been doing an employer series on rebounding while remote, focusing on the challenges and the incredible successes our employers are having bringing in interns for the summer, largely remotely or almost entirely remotely. So today we are joined by Elena Paul from the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. Sorry, knew I was going to get that a little wrong. And Marilee Templin from Ropes and Gray, where she's the recruiting manager. So before we do our introductions, I just want to give you a little bit of context for this series, which obviously is the challenges faced with the pandemic. So when everything started to shut down and go remote in March and April, a lot of our employers were having conversations about whether to do internships. And what we have seen are a lot of employers who are really navigating quite well and coming up with interesting and innovative ways to bring interns on and make those relationships successful. Elena and Marilee, we brought you guys on because you have some sort of differences. Obviously, one is more of an in-house counsel kind of role. One is a large law firm, different numbers of interns. But you guys are both making it work. And we really want to focus today on socialization and culture, right? So what does it mean to teach an intern about the culture of your organization? How do you promote socialization of interns? All that good stuff. So Elena, I'd love to just start with you. Tell us a little bit about Alvin Ailey, the culture there, what you guys do.
Sure. So Alvin Ailey is our corporate name is Alvin Ailey Dance Foundation, and under that umbrella, we have a number of different programs. We're most known for our public face is our high art expression of our mission, Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, which is a group of 32 dancers who tour the United States. We also have a second company, so to speak, that's called Ailey 2, also has a very extensive touring schedule. Internationally, both companies do. We have our own building on 55th and 9th, which is a school. We have professional division. We have professional dance training from age 3 through post high school training through like the ages like 25. We also have our Ailey Extension, which is like dance for the people, which is a part of our mission, which is basically exercise program, gym program. We also have rentals and other activities that we do in conjunction with. We have a BFA program with Fordham University. We have programs with public schools, high school, performing arts high school, as well as we send teachers into schools all over the New York area and have an Ailey Camp program for very small children, for middle-aged children throughout the United States. So that's kind of our, kind of the big picture. It's about $40 million a year and very diverse revenue source. And we're kind of known as like the most successful modern dance company in the United States, if not the world. It has a very interesting history. It was born during the civil rights era. And so our social mission and that history is very much part of our culture. It's known as a Black dance company, although diversity, it was at the heart of Mr. Ailey's vision for dance. He referred to himself as a choreographer and a dancer and didn't like, being referred to as a Black dancer. And he's like, dance is for everyone. I'm telling my story. Black stories are underrepresented, undertold. And so he expressed himself through choreography and dance, but he was all about, in a sense, it's really about freedom of expression, and civil rights all jumbled into one. As a lawyer, like I love it because I love the arts. I always wanted to work in the arts, but that social mission is very important to me. So having the two combined together just kind of animates and makes my work mean something to me.
Fantastic. Marilee, we want to hear about Ropes and Gray too. Tell me about your organization.
Sure. So I am Marilee Templin, the recruiting manager at Ropes and Gray. We are about 1,400 attorney practice globally. So we've got 11 offices, 6 of which are in the United States. We practice a lot of different areas of law. The big heavy hitters would be the corporate practice, our litigation, tax and benefits, and business restructuring. So really have a vast majority of knowledge across the board, but also a really significant pro bono practice as well. So that's something that we're really interested in instilling early on at even the summer associate level, and then it kind of follows the attorneys throughout their entire career. So this summer we have about 220 summer associates joining us in the US, and these are from schools across the US and a couple abroad as well. And I think I'll leave it there, move into the questions.
Awesome. Thanks, both of you. So I guess as a good place to start it off, if I were applying for either a summer position or a post-grad position with your firm or company, can you tell me a little bit about the culture and the environment there? Whoever wants to take it. Elena, maybe you should start.
I'll start. So for me, what I look for in a summer associate is, so my office is, I'm in charge of the HR department. I spend an enormous amount of time with the production department because we're commissioning new works, restaging works, licensing works. And then we have a union company, so we have a collective bargaining agreement. We have over 500 employees, many of them part-time, and a lot of different moving parts, and every day is something different. So what I kind of look for in interns is somebody who understands this isn't a law firm. My research tool is Google. That's what I have to work with. And I'm an excellent Googler. I think I am. Anyway, so I want somebody who like understands that it's not very formal. It's not that training that they really need. And I try to select people who have the opportunity to then a summer or do some work in a law firm so they get that other experience, and that they just want a broad variety of different types of issues, many of which will cluster along the employment and labor areas. Most people think in a performing arts organization, I'm going to spend all my time on copyright and I'm going to get into like cases and this and that. It's like, no, it's going to be about how does COVID affect somebody's ability to take sick leave? What does it mean if someone is hospitalized and they theoretically abandon their job? How do we handle that? You know, things like that. And so I just want someone to be understand what it is and it isn't. And to have some sort of interest in the mission, because I think that kind of animates it and helps an intern understand my priorities when I'm, doing any kind of work. People first, brand second, then try to get what you want to get under whatever transaction. That's how I frame my work, and that it's different for different companies, but that's the main thing is I want to make sure they understand. Also, I'm not like a traditional lawyer. I did work in a law firm a long time ago. That's not my thing. I don't read cases. I'm not interested. I just want to see how the art gets made and help get it made as most efficiently as possible.
Thanks. Yeah, Marilee, please take it away.
We're similar in the sense that we're looking for students that are interested in the type of work we do. Now that's a little more broad, and our corporate practice is our largest practice. And so while we are really interested in developing and investing in the pro bono work, the vast majority of the work that they're going to be doing is more of the corporate and the litigation work and et cetera, et cetera. So we're really looking for students that are, our big buzzword internally is collegial. We do a lot of working together and counting on one another. And so we want people who are interested in similar makeups. Additionally, we do have the luxury of having a lot of resources at our disposal in regards to training and just the skills that they're learning, whether on or off the job. And so we are looking for those that are open to continue learning and progressing as they're moving up in their career. So really looking for, at this point, we're trying to be as broad as possible. No, there's not a one-size-fits-all candidate that we're looking for. We do want those people that come with a different perspective, whether it be a different school than we may have traditionally recruited from, or a particular undergrad major, or being pretty narrow in the past, perhaps in certain activities that they were involved with. We're actually really able to move forward and really think outside the box as far as what we're considering as the proper foundation for them to come in, which is so great because this allows for a more diverse set of students, whether it be any type of diversity that you're thinking about, but it's really helping our practice to grow and evolve as well. So it's been nice to see that transition and kind of that growth internally, and the newer attorneys coming in, just really being a little more well versed in the different areas than we may have traditionally recruited from, which is, only helps the practice.
Yeah.
Marilee, I was interested when we were talking a little bit, excuse me, before, and in talking with some of other sort of large law firm partners, a lot of people were really concerned about this summer because they said, look, socialization is important, and it's important for students and our summer interns and associates to get to know who we are and how we're different. So I'm wondering, what was the process internally when you guys said, okay, here's what our summer program looks like. It's going to be virtual. How do we attack this? Like, how do we socialize with our interns issue?
Sure. So we had 4 particular areas, or priorities, I should say, that really drove the creation of the program. And it was around the summers. We knew we couldn't replace 100% what an in-person experience would be, but to the extent that everyone gets to know the firm, builds relationships with individual attorneys and each other, that they can work on pro bono matters, and that they're having as equal and inclusive experience as possible. So that really drove the decisions that were made in the content creation for the summer. We also had to balance with the fact that something like Zoom fatigue is a real thing. And so we couldn't just expect them to be on a Zoom call for 8 hours a day. So that helped us determine, what's the appropriate amount of time that they will be active, if you will, in learning and training. And then how can we supplement those more formal programs around learning about the firm, the different presentations on the different departments that we have, the skills-based training, and supplement that with a little more variety in how they get to know one another and the attorneys. So we're trying to balance those more sessions with social events, more informal coffee chats and office hours, even where summers can pop in and out of different areas and speak with attorneys, kind of at their based on their interests and their schedule too, because we're fortunate to have a lot of people that want to participate as well. So really finding that balance of keeping them engaged but also not being too formal and rigid I think we've done a really great job. We're still trying to evolve and finalize before Monday when they get here. But I'd like to trust that the summers are appreciative of having a program still and understanding of this is different and why. And so we're just going to see how it goes, but we're prepped for a really great program, I think.
And Elena, I know before we got on the webinar, you briefly mentioned implementing things like weekly feedback calls and that kind of thing. To what extent do you find that to be helpful in really getting to know your interns and improving their ability to socialize?
Yeah, so the way I set up our weekly call was to, I added my main client in there. So I have an amazing client who lives in production, who does all the music licensing, contracting, 90% of the contracts that go on in our company. He and I are working very closely together. So I added him in there. And so we're always talking about larger things going on, either with the performance companies, or we created a whole new online content program, like many performing arts organizations kind of pivoted to virtual performances. So we have those weekly calls. I also tried to talk to them a little bit about specific interests. I give them projects. Every time I give somebody a project, I always copy the other intern and have them work with each other on things, even though I put somebody in charge, just because it's easy for me to just say, oh, y'all do this, but that's not really fair. And then I also, last week, so they've been with me for 2 or 3 weeks. I gave them a list of other clients throughout the organization to interview on their own about aspects of the business, how it might relate to music licensing and other projects they're doing. Because it's easy for me because I've been at the place, 10 years, to know what somebody's saying when they send something or what they need. But I'm trying to make an extra effort to explain what's happening, give context to things, show them things, even if I'm not asking them to do something, because honestly, the shutdown, the issues around reopening, force majeure, how that affects what we're offering and what's happening to us, the insurance issues, there are layers of it. And I think it's I would be remiss if I didn't share some of the thinking around that from a business and a legal standpoint, because they're in it, even if they're not doing something directly on it. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do. We'll see. I feel kind of bad because, normally my interns almost physically live in my office, or they're right outside, and I would interact with them normally 18 times a day, and it would be, and so this, especially when there have been a couple emergencies, I'm trying to be, that's why it's good for me to have the other substantive contracting legal focused person who's also available to them, just so they're not abandoned or feeling that they don't have access to somebody when they need somebody.
I think you both actually mentioned Zoom fatigue, which is something that we've all been thinking about. And my personal experience, which I don't think is unique, is, Zoom was great and novel and we were having so much fun. And now, friends say hey, let's meet for a Zoom cocktail. And I'm like, oh, I can't possibly do this again. But Marilee, you guys had some really innovative, interesting ideas about things to do that are fun. And I'd love for you so we can all steal your great ideas, talk a little bit about those.
Sure. So we made a conscious effort as a firm to shy away from alcohol-based events. And really we're trying, like you said, looking for some different ideas. And so one of my favorites that I'm looking forward to is an improv class. The summers and the attorneys will be able to kind of get to know each other in a more comfortable environment, but also learn and develop a few skills perhaps without knowing it. So we're really looking forward to that event. We've also got an elevated internet scavenger hunt that we've just recently nailed down. It's by the Great Gotham Challenge. This is a New York-based company that traditionally does in-person scavenger hunts, but they've had to pivot with the COVID pandemic. So they have been really great in working with, and the different clues and hints and all of the different activities that go throughout the scavenger hunt, I will say, are really apart. So this should keep them busy for a little while. And, you know, they're going to have to work together because it's going to, you know, really take some different levels of knowledge and skill and just abilities to get through this scavenger hunt. We're also doing things like trivia. We have a partner in-house that is a comedian. So he's going to do a set for them throughout the summer. There are game nights, and I'm sure I'm leaving out some different activities as well. Oh, another one is called Tiny Campfire. We're going to open our summer program with this event. It is each summer receives a care package, which essentially are all the materials to make a little s'more. So they're sitting around the campfire, there are ghost stories, little team building events, and they make their s'more over the little tea light candle throughout the session. So try to kind of think of things that hopefully pique everyone's interest in some way. And we also have a balance of activities with just the summer so they can kind of get to know each other and continue bonding, and then some that include internies as well. So we tried to make sure that there was the right amount of exposure, but also, you know, the comfort of their team kind of hanging out as well.
Cool. Love s'mores.
Yeah.
And then it can never go wrong. Since most of the socializing though will be remote, are there any plans, you know, as long as things continue to open up, to after the summer, maybe do an in-person meetup or event? I guess that question is for both of you.
Yeah, so definitely for us, we would like them to come back to a performance whenever we're able to reopen, and then come also and take classes at our extension if we're able to, you know, when that happens. So we'll definitely get together when we're all able to. That's our plan, and hopefully it'll be around a performance, hopefully sooner rather than later, even though it may be 2021 before we get there.
We certainly want to do that, just the timing has not yet been determined. For us, we have to think about the on-campus interviewing season that has now been pushed to January, and then we have the 1L interviewing, and then the summer program next summer. So we're really trying to determine how to make that work in a safe way, but also that will provide for a good experience for them too. So hopefully, just TBD on what that would look like.
Maybe you guys can all come to an Ailey performance.
I already have it written down.
There we go.
Count me in too.
If you can do a performance
Yeah.
with s'mores, I am 100% all in.
Yeah.
The best of both.
Right.
And bring our tea lights into the theater. We'll sit
Exactly.
in the balcony.
Well, listen, Elena and Marilee, this is absolutely great. So many good ideas. We thank you for always taking care of Cardozo students and interns and giving them fantastic experiences, especially when it's really, really challenging this summer. So thank you both for your time, and we look forward to continue working with you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Have a good day, guys.